Peace, family. How's my family?
All right.
Good. That's right. Let me hear your warm black hands. Rub them together. That's right.
We talk about the Illuminati.
Hold on. Let me intro my brother. And we're going to talk about anything you want to talk about. Talk about the Illuminati. You the Illuminati. Listen, all the word means is enlightened. And it's good that people are using the term Illuminati. They're trying to discuss it because they want to know where the power's at, where the powers that be are at. But when you get into language, you understand that when they say Illuminati, the root of the word, the operative root is luminous. So it means you're aware. You understand? So once you become aware of something, then you're illuminated by it. You feel me? So I would never try to give nobody no credit that I don't know like that. You know, people that I can't call on speed dial, and all of a sudden he's in control of everything in our lives. It don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? So I was being a little condescending, but not offensive when I said you the Illuminati. I meant it to say we are. You know what I'm saying? Because we are the enlightened ones. So at any rate, introduce yourself to the person next to you if you don't know them.
Hi everyone, my name is Daphne, and yeah, I'm here for the event.
Hey. What's up, Dad?
That's right. That's an awesome spirit. Okay. So now while our brothers are setting up the DJ equipment and whatnot, I do want to intro one of my brothers who came to do this awesome presentation. He's going to be with you for about an hour and a half, giving you some heavy information. The brother's deep. He's also an artist as well as a music artist. This guy's like a Renaissance man. He's a student and a teacher. The brother's also a clothing designer, and he also has a prime time network for the listening audience on the internet, on the Blog Talk radio show he's going to tell you about, but he has a show called Know the Ledge that's aired internationally on every Tuesday and Friday nights. He's going to tell you more about it. All right, and a lot of awesome speakers come there and talk. So at any rate, if I didn't introduce myself to you, my name is Rashid. All right, you can call me Rashid. Cool? That's cool. Okay, that's what it is. All right. So put them warm black hands together and usher up our brother, the Red Pill. His name is the Red Pill. Usher him up.
Thank you. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the presentation, Hip Hop 2012 Summit. My name is Brother Red Pill. Today, we're going to be going into a lecture dealing with some of the subjects that have been popping up in the news lately. Most importantly, we're going to talk about Tupac. By show of hands, how many people are familiar with Tupac Shakur? How many people are familiar with the history of Tupac Shakur? How many people are familiar with the stance and the socio-political stance that Mr. Tupac Shakur took in life? Excellent, excellent. So we're going to delve into that, go into some history about this brother, you know what I mean? One of the greatest rappers of all time, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to, you know, put a little esoteric twist on it, all right? So this page right here, this intro page right here, I decided to put some symbols on it. Now, like my brother Rashid spoke about a minute ago, when the brother asked him, we're going to be talking about the Illuminati. For some of us that know about the Illuminati, these are some of the symbols that you see pop up in the Illuminati lore or whatnot. Now, what we're going to do is hopefully demystify some of the symbols and signs that we see. Because for some reason, some of us have been taught that signs are evil. Like if we see a pentagram or something, we're supposed to run because that's going to possess you or do something to you or whatnot. And that's further from the truth. All right? So, this is my mission statement. My job or duty is to meet the people where they're at. I can relate to the mentality and thought process of the people because I was there myself for the majority of my life. I was heavily influenced by hip-hop, the heroes and the heroines, the beats, the battles, the rumors, the trends, the videos, the classic albums became soundtracks to my life. In situations that required my reaction or thought process, I would often catch myself asking, what would Iceberg Slim say or do? What would Jay-Z say and do? What would Nas say and do? What would Biggie say and do? So the influence of the rappers was so strong as role models and father figures that they represented the way I thought, moved, and reacted to situations. The power of influence means your words, actions, and deeds now are controlling those who are looking up to you as a role model, big brother, father figure, and guide on the path to money, hoes, and clothes. Now, I'm a 70s baby, so I come from the 90s generation, all right? I come from the generation where I was in the club right next to Biggie Small. I was in the club right next to Tupac Shakur. I was in the club right next to some of these rappers that, you know, are the so-called living legends of these days. So I relate to hip-hop in a different way than some of you may have related to hip-hop due to the era that you have grown up in. I come from an era where hip-hop wasn't even created like that. It wasn't on mainstream media. It wasn't on TV like that. We come from an era where they were fighting hip-hop before it was accepted. You dig what I'm saying? Where we had to sneak. Our parents they wouldn't necessarily let us listen to it, so we actually had to sneak and close the door and turn it up to about 3 and listen to it and tape certain radio shows and whatnot and play them when we went outside the house. So we come from a throwback era. A lot of y'all were born into hip-hop, so unfortunately you weren't privy to that whole shift in music and whatnot. But we're going to take y'all back into time and paint a picture about what happened with hip-hop, how it actually got to where it is today. You know what I'm saying? I am, you know, I'm not going to take, I know that a lot of us have a vested interest in the artists of today's, the Little Weezy's of today's. Some of y'all think that that's the greatest thing ever to come to hip-hop and all of the, you know, and, and Waka Flocka and all of that. I'm not going to insult nobody's intelligence, but we're going to try our best to help y'all, to help paint the picture that it actually has been downgraded by about 20 decibels. All right? And this era that we came from, this era of hip-hop was so powerful that the powers that be, the ones that were in control of the record companies and the conglomerates, they made the concerted effort to basically dumb it down. You understand? They actually attacked the culture. So we're going to talk about that. This is just some images of me in my glory days, back in the days in the 90s and whatnot. That's me over there. And I attended a college called Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn. I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I was born in the Bronx, raised in Brooklyn, and got my consciousness in Harlem. Alright? This picture was taken in about 1992. You know what I'm saying? We was down with the whole boosted era, the low lights and whatnot. That's some of my clothes up there, low polo. You know, we used to go crazy for the polo stuff. We would run into stores and steal. You dig what I'm saying? That, you know, that's what we chose to do with our off time. Nowadays, people run around with their pants sagging. I don't know what they're doing. But back when we were young, wearing polo, wearing Guess and all of that stuff, wearing Tommy Hilfiger, you know, some of the trends that they following these days. Because when I look around, I see them basically doing the same thing. They got a thing for polo, but that thing goes all the way back to the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's what we came up in. But we were basically involved in setting trends, okay? The trends that were set by the generation that I come from are the trends that have actually shaped society to this day. And to see it carry on still, where the whole, you know, where that's part of the culture, you know, it's something to be proud about. So that's us back in the days, whatnot. Now, how many, by show of hands, how many people are aware of what social engineering is? All right, I'm going to go through the definition real quick. Social engineering is a discipline in political science that refers to efforts to influence popular attitudes and social behaviors on a large scale, whether by governments or private groups. In the political arena, the counterpart of social engineering is political engineering. Before one can engage in social engineering, one must have reliable information about the society that is to be engineered and effective tools to carry out the engineering. Both of these became available only relatively recently. roughly within the past 100 years. The development of social science made it possible to gather and analyze information about social attitudes and trends, which is necessary in order to judge the initial state of society before an engineering attempt or success or failure of that attempt after it has been implemented. At the same time, the development of modern communication technology and the media provided the tools through which social engineering could be carried out. By show of hands, how many people watch Maury?
Me.
All right. By show of hands, how many people watch, what's that other dude?
Springer.
Yeah, Steve Wilcox. Now, that's social engineering. By show of hands, how many people watch Bad Girls Club, Basketball Wives? Okay, you are participating in programs of social engineering that have been implemented through, like I said, through media and technology to shape the way that you see reality. When we were younger, we knew that Ricky Lake, Maury Povich, and all of these shows were bullshit. Okay? Pardon my French. We would actually laugh at the shows. We knew that it was a crock of shit. The topics that they used to talk about, I'm gay with 20 lovers and 2 baby mamas. We knew that it was blasphemous. We were laughing at it because it didn't exist. You understand? But because it was a social engineering program, people like youth, when the youth were watching this, who are impressionable, who had no idea that this was actually a spoof, this soon became their reality. Now, when you watch the show, it's reality. You can't even laugh at it anymore because this is what's taking place. But for those of us who came before it, knew that this was a program that didn't exist before. A lot of these things that you see on the show, a lot of this ratchetness that you see in the shows, it wasn't even reality. But this is what social programming can create. It could create through your mind. By you thinking that this is normal, by you thinking that this is what life is about, you grow up and you begin to emulate it because your minds are impressionable and you create reality. I'm just giving you a glimpse of what social engineering is. Okay, it's not, this is such a grandeur topic. I don't want to, create such a small thing by saying that the Maury Povich is all what social engineering is. It's so much bigger than that. I'm just taking it to the minuscule and giving you a breakdown of it. Now, if you write this down, I encourage y'all to go ahead and, pull that up on Google. We live in an age of smartphones and Wikipedia and whatnot. Do some further research on that, okay? Do some further research because commercials that you see every day, advertisements, why is every single poster for a movie, they got a gun in it? It could be a comedy, they holding guns, but they telling you that you can't carry a gun. You getting 20 years for carrying a gat. But all of the advertisements, when you walk outside, pay attention, when you go to the train station or you see the buses passing by, why they all promoting sex, money, and murder? They got ads for Dexter. Dude got dripping, he got blood dripping off a knife holding a baby. That's social engineering. These are things that advertisements pay billions and billions of dollars to manipulate the mind. You dig what I'm saying? We also going to touch on synchromysticism. And synchromysticism is the study of coincidences, synchronicities, connections, esoterica, symbolism, and possible hidden agendas in all aspects of reality because everything is connected. The great divine speaks through signs. Now, I hope I'm not going over the family's heads tonight, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to get a little deep tonight. You dig what I'm saying? Because I want to challenge y'all to think. This is all about thinking because knowledge is power. So I'm bringing y'all some power tonight by bringing y'all some knowledge. Alright? But this is real.
I'm sorry, how do you say that word?
Which one?
The big one.
Synchromysticism. And I encourage y'all, real talk, that's a key word. So I encourage you to write that down and do a little bit of further research on synchromysticism. Don't worry, it won't crash your computer. It ain't going to jump out to your screen and bite you and whatnot. It's good to study these things because, believe me, it is taking place in the reality that you live. It's going to help you understand what is going on in the world around you. Because we are living in strange times, if you didn't know by now. We are definitely living in some strange times. And what they teach in these college courses is not going to prepare you to understand what's going on in these strange times. Now,
The word.
real quick, go ahead and do that. Let me know when y'all finish writing that down. All right. Now, the subtitle of this lecture is Thug Life. The hate you gave little infants fucks everyone. Made popular by Tupac Shakur. He had it tatted on his belly. Alright? A lot of people, they screaming Thug Life, but they never have been shown what the acronym means. They never really reflect on what that acronym is. The hate you gave little infants fucks everyone. And I put the young God Trayvon Martin and both of his pictures next to Tupac because as we can see, the young God had Tupac's spirit. You know what I mean? He had that fuck the world attitude. And when they began searching through his Twitter and his MySpace pages, the right wing, the Fox News and the right wing pundits tried to throw him under the bus and call him a thug. And call him and try to justify what happened to him because they had pictures of him throwing up the bird and giving the world that middle finger. But little do they know that this is an attitude that many of the youth carry within their heart. Because of the hate that was given to them is fuck the world. Pardon my French. Alright? More images of Tupac Shakur. Alright? Now, I just want to explain to you that they fear us for a reason. Alright? This whole Trayvon Martin incident, really, it has so many factors to it, but when it spoke to mostly was fear. The fear that they have of us. The black man more specifically. Alright? So, let's do a little brief breakdown of who this man was. It's Tupac Amaru Shakur. We're going to get real deep into the history and the meaning behind Tupac tonight. Alright, Tupac Amaru Shakur was born on the East Harlem section of Manhattan in New York City. How many people know that he's from Harlem? That's interesting because a lot of people think that he was a West Coast, born and raised and whatnot, that he didn't hail from New York City. He was named after Tupac Amaru II, a Peruvian revolutionary who led an indigenous uprising against Spain and was subsequently executed. How many people know that? Alright, we're going to touch on that a little further in the lecture. His mother, Afeni Shakur, and his father, Billy Garland, were active members of the Black Panther Party in New York in the late 1960s and early 1970s. He was born just 1 month after his mother's acquittal on more than 150 charges of conspiracy against the United States government and New York landmarks in the New York Panther 21 court case. By show of hands, how many people know the history of that court case? How many people know about the Black Panthers? Alright? For somebody to beat the court system in the 1960s as a Black Panther, 150 charges, and to be acquitted with a baby in your stomach, who the hell is Afeni Shakur? We're talking about a powerhouse right there. We're talking about a legend. That was not, that wasn't really easy to do in the 1960s during that whole Black Power movement era. Okay? His godfather, Elmer Geronimo Pratt, a high-ranking Black Panther, was convicted of murdering a school teacher during a 1968 robbery. Although his sentence was later overturned, his stepfather, Mutulu Shakur, spent 4 years at large on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list beginning in 1982. Mutulu was wanted in part for having helped his sister Assata Shakur, also known as Jawan Chesimard, to escape from a penitentiary in New Jersey where she had been incarcerated for shooting a state trooper to death in 1973. Mutulu was caught in 1986 and imprisoned for the robbery of a Brinks armored truck in which 2 police officers and a guard were killed. All right, when I seen a whole bunch of movies dealing with us, Black history in the 50s and the 60s and whatnot, and all I see is movies where, our people were apologizing and walking around, yes sir, yes ma'am and everything. They'll never show you this side of our history. You understand? There was an armed revolution that was going on in the 60s at the hands of the Black Panthers, and Tupac was raised in this environment. We're talking about, I'm trying to show what the mindset of Tupac Amaru Shakur, the greatest rapper of all time. Okay? The highest selling rapper, 75 million, one of the highest selling rappers of all time. What was this man's DNA made up out of? What was he about? What was his background? Because all of these other rappers that they try to put in front of you, they never really give you the DNA of these rappers. This man, for what he stood for in his history, it really needs to be examined. You know what I'm saying? Because this man, this Tupac Shakur, is actually I would say that he is the evolution of the Black Panthers. You understand what I'm saying? The music that he did, his whole movement, everything that his whole history, I'll show you today that was actually the evolution of the revolutionary movement, but he married it with the aspects of the streets. And that's where you got your thug life. This is the brother Geronimo Pratt. I want to say rest in peace to his spirit. He made transition last year. Coincidentally, on the same day, he was born on the same day, September 13th, that his godson, Tupac Amaru Shakur, made transition in 1996. Now this man, I don't know, for those of us who are not really familiar with the Black Panther history, and I encourage those of us, especially if you want to study your past, if you want to study your leaders, don't be ashamed. We live in this politically correct society these days where we are taught to be ashamed of our people, of our history, of what we've done. But they'll give you all of the buck dancers, they'll give you all of the apologists, they'll give you all of the conformists and tell you to fall in love with them, but they'll never tell you to study those of us who stood up. Real men. You know what I'm saying? Real men who stood up and said enough is enough and put their lives on the line, risked everything, threw everything away. A lot of them are murdered, a lot of them were murdered, a lot of them are doing life, a lot of them are what are known now as political prisoners. You dig what I'm saying? So it's imperative for the new generation to do the research on them and even reach out to them, because you can write them and try to find out what are their political standpoints, what are their views on life and things of that nature, and you can share what your views are. But this man was acquitted by Johnny Cochran. You know what I'm saying? And he came home, he went to Africa, and he used some money that he won off of a lawsuit for being wrongly convicted to help build up a village. He was building up villages in Africa, and then, he mysteriously died. You know what I'm saying? So this is Geronimo Pratt. And Tupac talks about him in some of his songs as well. All right, Geronimo G. Giga, also known as Geronimo Pratt, born Elmer Pratt, was a high-ranking member of the Black Panther Party. The Federal Bureau of Investigation targeted him in a COINTELPRO operation, which aimed to neutralize Pratt as an effective Black Panther Party functionary. Pratt was falsely accused, tried and convicted of the kidnapping murder of Carolyn Olsen in 1972 and spent 27 years in prison, 8 of which were in solitary confinement. Pratt was freed in 1997 when his conviction was vacated. He was working as a human rights activist up until the time of his death. Pratt was also the godfather of the late rapper Tupac Shakur. He died of a heart attack in his adopted country, Tanzania, on June 2nd, 2011. All right? And, coincidentally, when Johnny Cochran began to take up a case against reparations against the United States government, he also coincidentally died of a brain aneurysm. How many people are aware of that? He was on his way to bring charges against the United States government for reparations for the people. Okay, he was compiling, and you know how, if anybody saw the OJ case, you know how crafty the brother Johnny Cochran was in his argument. All right, so he was murdered, or he died mysteriously. You know what I'm saying? Now, I always want to question, because everybody running around on this Tupac stuff. Tupac this, Tupac that, Tupac's back. But if you say that you love Pac, and that you say that you're about Pac, then your music will reflect that, wouldn't it? Your movement will reflect that, wouldn't it? Your stance, your political, your socio-economic stance will reflect the fact that if you say that you love Pac, that you really will love Pac. And I just showed you the DNA of Pac. I just showed you who Pac's council of elders are. You know what the council of elders are? Those are the people that give you your viewpoint. That's like when we were youth. If we grow up on the block and whatnot, and you got the hustlers and all of that, and they raise you up, and then you got the rappers that come out like, yeah, I was raised by the streets and all of that, pimps and all of that. You know, they was the first ones to show me love, and the hustlers and the killers and all of that. So that's my council of elders. That's my environment. I'm a product of my environment. But Tupac's product, the product of his environment, was Black Panther Party revolutionaries, people that were actually going against the so-called status quo to demand that, you know, our people deserved more than they were getting. You know what I mean? You know, that no justice, no peace thing. But they were taking it a step further. So, for all of the rappers that say that they love Pac, by show of hands, how many, or by show of hands, and I'll ask you if you have a name of a certain rapper, how many people do you know have emulated the revolutionary stance of Tupac Shakur since he's died? Who would you say that is?
No.
I'm saying, after he, I'm sorry, let me rephrase this. After he died, some of the rappers who stepped up, who came into the game after he died, who, you know, because, yeah, they started getting tatted up. After that, they went bald head. Ja Rule was bald headed with bandanas on and everything. But who exemplified that whole spirit of Tupac?
No, Soulja Slim, but he was underrated.
Okay, all right. I could understand Soulja Slim to an aspect. He was on his street revolutionary. You know, he was banging. You know what I mean? Shout out to that brother Soul and all of that. But for the most part, the rap game has dropped the ball when it's come to basically showing the world or keeping that brother's spirit alive. But they say that they love him. Alright? Now,
Immortal Technique.
Immortal Technique. That's one. And I definitely will say that Immortal Technique has represented, beyond a reasonable doubt, that spirit of revolutionary, no holds barred, no apologetics, you know what I mean? And keeping it, not selling out, non-commercialism. Immortal Technique fits that mold to a high. And he's from Peru. Okay? Now, a lot of the artists that we listen to today have either been to jail or their entourage and the people who have influenced who they are have been to jail. In the studio sessions, when they smoking blunts and all of that, sipping on Hennessy, they crew and whatnot, the whole, the team that's with them, a lot of them did a bit. A lot of them did about 5, 10, 15, 20. Now, anybody that's done time in jail, whether it's county, state, or federal, knows that there's a high population of Aryan Nation brotherhood. Okay, neo-Nazism is very rampant in the jail system. All right. Now, if I was a rapper who did some time and I came home and I want to write against my enemy and I want to bang on somebody, you feel me? And I want to ride on my enemies like Pac was talking about. Do all of those blunt sessions and whatnot of reminiscing about who's the target, chances are I will come up with the Aryan Nation. Or I will come up with some neo-Nazis. Or I will come up with some people who have blatantly said, nigga, we will kill you. And nigga, we prepared to kill you. Because when you go on YouTube, that's all you see. You feel what I'm saying? But what they've chosen to do, time after time after time after time, song after song after song, mixtape after mixtape after mixtape, is to ride on each other. Right? Now, it don't mean me, in no ways and means am I advocating violence in no way. I'm just, using a little bit of common sense. Asking the family, let's just think about some things. Now, the history of Tupac Shakur was one who addressed the situation of those white supremacists and the so-called, neo-Nazi movement and whatnot. He was banging on them. He had an incident where, he was acquitted of shooting 2 police officers who tried to shoot him. So, in Atlanta, in the South, the home of the KKK, and I'm living in Atlanta right now, and I'm here to let you know that it hasn't gone anywhere. And as we can see with the incidents with Trayvon Martin, this whole Jim Crow KKK mentality has not gone anywhere. It has masked itself and put on police uniforms and judge robes and whatnot, and they basically, they just incorporated themselves. They ain't going nowhere because they never got tested. You feel what I'm saying? They never got tested.
Check.
Nobody never tested them. They never got their chins checked. Nobody never did anything. They never even got prosecuted for the hangings that took place. If Jesse Jackson is still alive and all the other elders of the civil rights movement, then the people that was hitting them with bricks and spitting in their face and smacking the shit out of them, they're still alive. Okay? And nothing whatsoever ever happened to them. They got let go, scot-free. So they're still making money. You dig what I'm saying? They helped develop Atlanta. They helped develop the subdivisions. They helped develop the strip malls. They own those things. And what they do is they move into the outskirts and they sell us the property. Black people don't own nothing in Atlanta. They don't have no job. They have businesses and whatnot, but they don't have any rights to the land. You could rent somewhere, but if you don't own the land, you're just a tenant. It's the landlord that has the power. So the good old boys, the KKK, all of these rednecks and whatnot, they still have power in the South. So there's no rappers that address this in the mainstream. I'm talking mainstream because the Moral Technique is still underground. He refused to get signed to a corporate entity. But no, he should not, because they'll compromise him. But there is no mainstream artist that I know of these days that has ever took the stance to address these issues. Now, we always say with the Trayvon Martin incident, the hypocrisy in our people was this. If George Zimmerman, right, name was George Williams, or George McDonald,
George Jackson,
or George Jackson, and he was of a darker hue, right? If he was a Negro, African American, whatever we call him these days, and he was the one that killed young Trayvon Martin, you think not would nobody care, you think niggas will be marching? You think will we be humbly asking people to arrest them and being all patient? Would they not shoot his house up? Huh? Would they turn his porch into Swiss cheese if they put his address on Twitter? It was like, this is where he lives? Or if they saw him walking down the streets, he would get his wig pushed back. That's how we deal with each other. It's called People's Court. We deal with each other in the worst ways. You understand? Due to self-hatred and due to so many other things, we deal with each other with an iron hand. There is no marching. But when it comes to other people that do our people in a way, we begin to act all, civilized. We all of a sudden we get culturized. All of a sudden we begin to beg and borrow. We start chanting, we want to sing songs and whatnot and march and cry, buy Skittles and iced tea. Like, what the hell is that? What is that? Why are we posting pictures on Twitter asking a question, am I next? That's a question that somebody can answer. They'll answer that. You feel what I'm saying? There's no power in that. What the hell are you asking, am I next? Like you want an answer for that. Why are rappers putting pictures of hoodies on like that's a show of some kind of revolutionary act? What the hell is that? Why was there only a $10,000 bounty to get this man arrested? You know, I seen $10,000 get spent in the club this weekend? Or bottle service? Like of justice for this young man. It took 44 days for them to convict that man. And then he got a $15,000 bail. It was $150 with 10%. That's $15,000. That was almost the same amount of money that they put the bounty on. You dig what I'm saying? We are looking horrible around the world right now. I just want to let y'all know this. We are looking horrible.
Indicted.
Horrible.
Convicted.
He got indicted. He didn't even get convicted. The world was watching Black America during this incident. Niggas think that they got a victory. You look horrible around the world. You look so weak. You know what I mean? Pitiful. Because the people around the world, they fighting tanks with rocks. You dig what I'm saying? Getting run over by tanks, but standing up. And then they look at America, these big old tough and bad niggas and all of that, running around, because when you listen to the music, and when you hear what we talk about, what we stand for, you niggas is tough. You thugged out. But when something happened to your own, you turn into some cowards. And I'm not talking to you directly, I'm not attacking the people, but I'm just putting it out there because it needs to be said. You know what I mean? No leadership whatsoever. What the hell is Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton supposed to do for us in 2012? This is supposed to be the future. What are you doing? Why are you still pulling out these old men to represent the youthful generation? And all that they about is turning the cheek and getting a check. They are called pacifists. Pacifist means that I'm going to pacify you. I went to a rally. I was hyped up in Atlanta. They went to City Hall and whatnot. I was like, you know what? Let me just go down there and see what's going to happen. Like, what's the atmosphere like? What are people going to say? Because I love talking points. Because I can add on. You feel what I'm saying? But they brought the minister out there. Some ministers, some preachers came out there. Some councilmen, some elected officials came out there. And some radio personalities came out there. After they finished playing some Rick Ross and Future, you know what I mean? After people finished sipping on their iced tea because they was holding the iced tea. But after a while they got thirsty because it was hot, because they was wearing hoodies in 80-degree weather. So after they finished eating the Skittles and drinking the iced tea and singing We Shall Overcome, everybody got sleepy and went home. And nothing was accomplished. And they all got pacified to death. Everybody got calmed down and put to sleep and told them, go back to school, man. Go shopping or something. Pitiful. You know what I mean? Pitiful. But we want people around the world to understand our plight. You know what I mean? But when they log on to World Star Hip Hop, niggas is savages, animals. You know what I mean? Straight savages, animals. Women fighting each other 20 deep. Titties out, pulling their hair out, stomping each other's faces out. Dudes is on there knocking each other out every single day. Savage. And the people around the world is looking at that and saying, you know what? Forget that. I'm gonna go arm up. I'm gonna get my guns up because I'm ready to kill a nigga. Because if they ever try to do that to my child or me, I'm a George Zimmerman them. We be running around like we so innocent, like our images that are being portrayed around the world is one of grandeur and prosperity and power. It's not. It's not. It's not. They got World Star Hip Hop in China. And that's what they see. That's how they seeing us. They showing Bad Girls Club, Atlanta Housewives, you name it. I Love New York, I Love Money, all of that bullshit is being broadcast around the world as an image of who you are. You dig what I'm saying? And images shape realities. So when they look at you and when they're ready to kill you, you gotta understand what that's about. We gotta run around, we gotta stop acting like everything is so sweet, like we never did anything, like our image around the world is now one of savagery. We gotta attack those who are destroying our images around the world. We have to stand up and demand that they put righteous images of who we are around the world, or we're gonna get washed up, I'm telling you. So, like I said, the rappers need to get addressed as to how is it that you could do mixtape after mixtape, song after song about killing your own, but you never in the world did anything to even judge, because these people got your ancestors blood in their hand. In case you didn't know, these are the children of the people that was hanging your ancestors. These people are card-carrying members of organizations that profit off of every time me and you get locked up in the prison industrial complex. These people are card-carrying members of everything that happens when somebody lights up a crack pipe, because their people are responsible for this whole crack epidemic. That was a government operation. Okay? We just had Rick Ross on our radio show about 2 weeks ago. I'm going to give y'all some flyers and whatnot so you can get familiar with the radio program. The real Rick Ross, Freeway Rick Ross, the one who's responsible for the whole crack era. And he said it on the show about how he explained how this whole thing was a government operation that took place in the 90s to take out the children of the Black Panthers. I brought up the whole Black Panther thing because that is very important. That is a segment of our history where we stood up. When you go around the world, they got paintings of the Black Panthers still in their wall because they identify with that movement. They got paintings of Tupac Shakur on the wall because they know his history and they identify with that black man. They don't got Soldier Boy on the wall. You feel what I'm saying? They don't got Soldier Boy on the wall. They don't got NWA on their walls around the world in Africa. They got Tupac Shakur. They got Huey P. Newton on the wall. They got Che Guevara on the walls for a reason. You dig what I'm saying? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a comment. You don't think, like you were saying about rappers, those moves
Don't talk about going on
with, like, the races. You don't feel like Kanye speaks on it?
Kanye does a good job. He's an intellect, and I love the way that he comes at, that he intellectually brings up social issues and whatnot. But I'm also speaking about those who are channeling the spirit of Tupac Shakur, the revolutionary rebels, the middle finger, I don't give a fuck, you know what I mean, the thug life. You feel what I'm saying? They took the thug life thing and started banging on each other. White people, rednecks ride around listening to rap in Atlanta, and they love that shit. You know why? Because it's niggas killing each other. They can relate. They don't feel no threat when they put a mixtape on. They have no threat whatsoever. They actually enjoy it because it's speaking to a part of them that, basically is like, these niggas are doing the work for me. Every time they turn on the news and pick up the newspaper, they're satisfied. They could go sip on the porch and drink lemonade and smoke an L because they're like, yo, niggas is putting in work on each other. We're good. We don't even have to show our face. So what we do is we put on correctional outfits, we put on police uniforms, we put on judge robes, and we are working that side of the fence to wash these dudes up. That's what they have. That's who they have turned into these days, elected officials. And we are the ones who are putting in the work for them. If you selling crack in the streets, you working for them. You ain't working for the hood. You ain't working for your ancestors. They put that in the hood to destroy us, and it has destroyed us as a culture. Like I said, I come from an era before crack. I know what it was. A lot of y'all don't know what it was. You don't have no idea about what society was before crack hit. I'm here to let you know that shit was a bomb. That was a weapon of mass destruction that destroyed the social structure, the family structure of our society that we know of today. It destroyed it destroyed about 4 generations. Mainly the generation that came out of the loins of the people who are part of the Black Power era, and then after that it was the Vietnam era. Brothers who came back from the Vietnam War with a whole nother way of looking at things like, hold on, this is some bullshit, you know what I mean? They came back and it was a social upheaval. Panthers was running around in all black leather, black fist pumping afros and whatnot. These dudes coming back from Vietnam, seeing the atrocities that took place over there. You dig what I'm saying? Seeing the atrocities, and some of them were getting hit by the Vietnamese to who they were. So they began to develop, they began to give birth to children who had this mentality like, it's me against the world. This is what Tupac is. He is a direct descendant. He was born in 1971. He is a direct descendant of that Panther era. One of the greatest generations that were ever born. This is the generation that created hip-hop. Hip-hop was created in 1973. So this is the generation, the same people from 68, that was one of those golden eras. So the 68 generation is the 1973 generation. So the people from that era are the creators of hip-hop. Don't get it twisted. Alright? You got militias with their face out. They don't even cover up no more. I seen it on on 60 Minutes. Like, they was bragging, like, oh nah, we start militias. How many black militias do y'all know about? By show of hands. How many black private armies do you know about? How many black military movements that's legal? I ain't talking about, niggas with guns. I'm talking about, car carrying, I could carry a firearm, and it's a group of us, and we're armed, and we're here to protect our people in case, let's say that there's a blackout, or let's say that the dollar falls, something, and there's chaos in the street, that there's actually a private security force that's like, look, we are going to protect the women and the babies. How many people know of that? I know a bunch of niggas that's in the military who came and they bragging, oh, I was in Iraq and all of that, killing sand people, and, I was in Afghanistan flying drones and bombing all of the, people that went all around the world, killing people that had nothing to do, ain't never did nothing to them. You understand what I'm saying? Because when you look at the whole, if they try to justify with the 9/11, those people were from Saudi Arabia. 19 of the so-called terrorists and whatnot from Saudi Arabia, they have not gone to Saudi Arabia and doing anything. Yes?
What happened to the men in Florida, African-American men who were accused of...
The Miami 7?
Kind of militia, but they weren't really...
Yeah, the Miami 7 got convicted.
They got convicted.
Yeah, they got convicted. And
Trial.
a few of them were acquitted, but about 4 of them got convicted and they got sent up. You know what I'm saying? That was a operation, like I'm bringing up, against any time that we try to come together as quote unquote, because we right now American citizens, but when you try to come together and create any kind of military arm, if you try to militarize anything that you're doing, you will be labeled a terrorist. You understand? And they will basically come and get you. But around the world, around America, and all the, I'm thinking about 40 states, they have militias that are on record, that are known. These people put threats against President Obama. They got, when they have, like, when you're at the target range and you got the range, the thing that you're shooting, with his face on it. You know what I mean? And nothing happens to them.
Nothing.
You know what I mean? They sending Predator drones all around the world to blow up enemy combatants. Did they ever move on any neo-Nazis since this dude been in office?
That's the biggest threat.
And that's the biggest threat. Have they moved on any militias within America since he's been in office? And they threaten him all the time. I'm just showing you the hypocrisy of the people that we call the so-called leaders and whatnot. And it's this. Now, this is the biggest private army in the world. This is called Blackwater. And they changed their name to the XI, Sheep, which is also the name of the Olmec ancestors. We're going to get into that in a minute. XE, but it's pronounced the same way. These people are responsible for tens of thousands of deaths in Iraq and Afghanistan of innocent civilians. All right? They have thousands of lawsuits against them for excessive force. You know what I'm saying? This private army is run by founded by a brother named by a European, excuse my French, a European by the name of Eric Prince. And he went on record saying that these are the new Crusaders. Okay? This was Dick Cheney and President Bush. This was their black ops. This was their assassination squad. This was their death squad. These are the people that they sent out to do all kind of black op hits around the world. Alright? Blackwater. They are also the ones who were cited as, they were the ones who were in New Orleans killing brothers and sisters during Hurricane Katrina. Yeah. When you had 5,000 bodies with headshots. When the Angola prisoners were found with headshots. When they had the shootout on the bridge where 8 brothers lost their lives. There you go, that's Blackwater. They were riding around New Orleans murdering our people. Okay? Cynthia McKinney, who is a congresswoman who ran for president, she's on record talking about Blackwater. It's on YouTube. All of this stuff could be Googled. These are keywords, like I'm saying. Do not take anything that I am saying as the God-given word. Do your research. I'm doing my research, and I'm here to present the research, and I encourage the family to do further research so you can enlighten yourselves. All right. just more getting back to the brother Tupac, okay? Because like I said, I'm showing you the blueprint of an artist that will never, in my opinion, we'll never see again. If hip-hop is a divinity system, this is a Christ-like figure in hip-hop right here, okay? Very, very important part. I'm really, really trying to reiterate how important this brother and his legacy and the things that he did is to what we know as hip-hop today and how they're trying to diminish that. In October 1993 in Atlanta, two brothers and off-duty police officers, Mark and Scott Whitwell, were with their wives celebrating Miss Whitwell's recent passing of the state bar examination. As they crossed the street, a car with Shakur inside passed by them and almost struck them, after which the Whitwells began an altercation with the driver, Shakur and other passenger, which was then joined by a second passing car. Shakur shot one officer in the butt and the other in the leg, back, or abdomen, according to varying news reports. There were no other injuries, but Mark Whitwell was charged with firing at Shakur's car and later lied to the police during the investigation, and Shakur with the shooting, until prosecutors decided to drop all charges against all parties. That incident right there was the incident that showed the government that Tupac was time to die. All right? That this man right here was going to become a problem to so-called the social structure, you know, of mainstream media, because you have to understand, when you have an individual who has power over millions and is willing to say what needs to be said, he doesn't kiss ass. He wasn't worried about an endorsement deal for Mountain Dew. He wasn't worried about an endorsement deal from Nike. He wasn't trying to go to bed with these corporations. He was like, fuck the world, pardon my French. He was an unconformitist. He was shooting police and getting acquitted for it. That was a problem, okay? This was a problem. So many of the legal woes that began to develop after situations like this had a lot to do with the government, with the federal government's persecution of Tupac Shakur. They knew his history the same way that I just showed you who his history is. I showed you that his DNA, that his core was the Black Panther Party, that the people who shaped his mentality were revolutionaries, that the people who shaped the way that his stance was all about the evolution of the Black Party, the Black Panther Party, and that's what he brought forth. That's what he brought forth in his music.
Explain the same people who took his mother and his parents.
Exactly, the same people who took his mother, his stepfather, the same people who murdered the people inside of that Black Panther organization, probably the same people on that case, were the same people who got assigned to the Tupac Shakur case. It was still COINTELPRO. Now, if you're not familiar with COINTELPRO was a system that J. Edgar Hoover, when you watch the Hoover movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, they don't really get into it, but this was it was an operation that were murdering, cold blood murder. I'm talking about these people were so crooked that what they would do is, let's say that I'm a thug in the streets or whatnot, I'm a killer, I'm a hustler, whatever. They'll lock me up and tell me that I'm facing 50. But if I go and kill this revolutionary brother over there, then, you know, they'll say, we got a problem with, you know, one of these Black Panther dudes, if you take care of that, you don't got to worry about this case. You know what I'm saying? And this is what they were doing. They were having they were, you know, having shootouts with people, creating beefs between organizations, intercepting mail, doing all kind of stuff, anything that they can, all kind of dirty tactics to disrupt the revolution, to disrupt the uprising of our people in the 60s.
The Sex Files.
The Sex Files, you know,
Dirty work. Yeah.
all kind of dirty work. So these are the same people who have been responsible for undermining the movement of young Black millionaires and entrepreneurs in the hip-hop game, more specifically Tupac Shakur. Alright, his first album was Tupacalypse Now. The album's name is a reference to the 1979 film Apocalypse Now. The album generated significant controversy stemming from Dan Quayle's public criticism after a youth in Texas shot a state trooper and his defense attorney claimed he was influenced by Tupacalypse Now and its strong theme of police brutality. Quayle made this statement: "There's no reason for a record like this to be released. It has no place in our society. The record never achieves the same success of many of Tupac's later albums, owing in part to rough construction and sometimes repetitive beats. But it was important in showcasing Tupac's political conviction and his focus on lyrical prowess." That album brought forth the songs Brenda Has a Baby and Trapped. Alright? Like I said, I know I'm talking to the young whippersnappers, and y'all might not be familiar on the impact of the music that the brother brought forth. But, like I say, we live in a digital age. Go ahead and go listen to those songs. Go watch the videos. They're on YouTube. Those were monumental in our era.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you talk on how the Patriot Act falls into in relation to the things you were just saying?
Yes, I'll touch on that. Definitely. Just some more images. They have a Tupac Memorial Center in Atlanta, Stone Mountain, where they erected a nice bronze statue of the brother. We went down there and visited it. Just a glimpse of his group, the Outlaws, just to show you, again, where this man's mind was. And to show you that you can't compare anybody. They have not created an individual who could be compared to this brother in his mind in a way that he was attempting to revolutionize the world, and especially generations of black youth. On forming the Outlaws, Tupac gave each of them a name of a dictator, military leader, or an enemy of America. Yaqui Gaddafi after Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi, who they just murdered last year. Hussein Fatah Fado after Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein, who they also murdered. Mussolini, formerly Big Sight, after Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. Khomeini, after Iranian Islamic revolutionary leader Ayatollah Khomeini. Castro, after Fidel Castro. Idi Amin, after Idi Amin. Napoleon, after Napoleon Bonaparte. For himself, Tupac created the alias Machiavelli from Renaissance Italian philosopher and strategist Niccolo Machiavelli, whose writings inspired Shakur in prison, but who also preached that a leader should eliminate his enemies by all means necessary. And what did he do? Did he not embody the spirit of Machiavelli when he came out? Okay? I mean, I know it's unfortunate for certain fans of the people that he was washing up, but the brother came forth and he did use strategy and military strategy to launch a war against many of the so-called artists that he had an issue with. All right, one of the greatest albums ever created in the world, all right, in the history of music, not just hip-hop, but in the history of music. The brother A.A. Rashid could recall in, 1996? I had about 5 albums that were in heavy rotation constantly. And this brother's album right here was like, it was almost like religious to me. Especially because he just was assassinated around this time. And when the album dropped, it dropped after he died and whatnot. And everything on the album spoke so much to, just to the days and times, man. It was a powerful event. The Don Illuminati 7-Day Theory is the 5th and final studio album by Tupac Shakur under the new stage name Machiavelli, finished before his death and his first studio album to be posthumously released. The album was completely finished in a total of 7 days during the month of August 96. The lyrics were written and recorded in only 3 days, and mixing took an additional 4 days. These are among the very last songs he recorded before his fatal shooting on September 7th, 96. In 2005, MTV.com ranked Illuminati, The 7 Day Theory, as number 9 on their greatest hip-hop albums of all time list, and in 2006, recognized it as a classic. The emotion and anger showcased on the album has been admired by a large part of the hip-hop community, including other rappers. Ronald Risky Brent is the creator of the Machiavelli Don Illuminati cover painting. George Papa G. Price, former head of publicity for Death Row, claimed that Machiavelli, which we did, was a sort of tongue-in-cheek, and it was not really to come out. And after Tupac was murdered, it did come out. But before that, it was going to be a sort of an underground thing. The album peaked at number 1. The album generated the second highest debut week sales total of any album that year, selling 664,000 copies in the first week. The album was certified 4 times platinum, June 15th. Now, you asked about if we're going to talk about the Illuminati, right? So how is it that in 1996, right, before 2001, because a lot of my brothers and sisters that are part of the consciousness these days, they got their awakening in 9/11, directly when the planes hit the tower. You know, a large population, including me, I was awake, but that really woke me up. You know when your mama smacks you and wakes you up out of bed, or when she used to pour cold water on you? That was that cold water day that woke us up. You know what I'm saying? Some people woke up and some people went further to sleep. You know what I mean? Everybody running around, you know, saying that they attacked us. You know, you Negroes went to sleep that day. For those of us who walked around saying that we got attacked by our own government, we woke up because we knew what was going on. We were prepared. But how is it in 1996, Tupac Shakur puts out an album talking about kill the Illuminati? Okay? He said because his time spent in Clinton facility in New York, all the brothers in the jail system was talking about the Illuminati. And he was like, that's some bullshit. Get it out of your mind. The Illuminati is you. You sound scared, and you in jail. What the hell is the Illuminati gonna do to you? You got 100 years. You know what I'm saying? That 6'8" white guard with the tattoo with a black baby with a noose around their neck, because that's what they're walking around with in the jails up north in New York. And they'll tell you to your face, nigga, we will kill you. We will hit. That's why I say with the pictures in the area, any rapper that come out of jail that don't address that issue, you should smack the crap out of them when you see them. Don't run around, oh, sign my album, sign my breast and all of that, I love you. No. They scared because they won't address the simple fact that when they was in the jail, when they was in the mountains, it was Caucasians that was telling them to their face, nigga, we will kill you if you don't shut the fuck up. Pardon my French. Again, I don't mean to, you know, be all derogatory to the college students. I know y'all don't curse. Now, Tupac Amaru Shakur is not just a regular name, right? You know, because a lot of our children's name are like Hennessy Shakur, you know, Toyota, Williams and all of that. Like, that's a special name. You feel what I'm saying? Tupac Amaru Shakur is a very special name. And it wasn't until recently, when I began doing my studies on Moorish history, that I ran across the Inquisition and the conquistadors. And when I realized that these Europeans who control the Americas, and I'm talking about South America, Central America, North America, have only been in power for 400 years. This thing is recent. You understand? And when I did my history, it showed me that black Africans were in control of the world for millennia. I'm talking about, if we look at a timeline, it will stretch from that corner all the way to that corner when we're talking about how we were ruling the world. I ain't talking about Africa, I'm talking about the world. And there's empirical proof. So this little segment of niggas being slaves and picking cotton and all of that, that is a pit stop. That's almost a bump in the timeline. It's this small in this long timeline of you being great. They don't teach you this in college. They don't teach you this in elementary school. They damn sure don't teach you this on TV. But I'm here to let you know, if you are willing to do if you're willing to do the studying in this so-called age of information, you will be able to free yourself. You will be able to see the wonderful history of your people. So, by doing the research, I came across a wonderful brother by the name of Tupac Amaru. And he ain't half thug like tatted on his chest. So, this is an Incan Mayan warrior king, all right? we are in 2012. 2012 is famous because the so-called Mayans, with the Mayan calendar, predicted that this would be the end of the world, December 21st, 2012. By show of hands, how many people are familiar with that? I'm not really talking about the movie 2012 because that was blasphemous. You know what I mean? That was a fear tactic. That movie, all of those destruction movies that they put out there as apocalyptic movies, these movies are being designed by the magicians in Hollywood to create fear amongst the people. Because in your mind, you create reality. Because, you know, thought is powerful, and our perceptions help create reality. So if they can put the majority of us in fear, then they can help shape and mold the realities of the future, because the future exists in your mind. So all of that, the world is going to end, and the planet is sinking in the water and all of that stuff, that is bull crap. Okay? That's not what the Mayans were talking about. The Mayans were referring to an end of an era. Alright? When you read into the Mayan prophecies, they talk about the end of an era of ignorance, an end of an era of darkness, the end of an era of Caucasian European rule against us, because they were conquered by the Europeans. They're called conquistadors. They were made Christians. They were given names like Juan Valdez by Europeans that came from Spain by the name of Juan Valdez. It's not hard to figure out. It's common sense. They say that the Mayans disappeared. The Negroes got names like Juan Valdez. And that's how they disappeared, because they became Juan Valdez. You know what I mean? And they gave them a Bible, and they said, leave your indigenous culture. Let's get that. Give me that gold. We're going to take this to Europe. We're going to take this to the Vatican, because the Pope was the one who signed off. It's called a papal bull. He gave them permission to go around the world. He gave Portuguese permission to go into Africa, along the coast, Pepper Coast, Gold Coast, Ivory Coast, all of the coasts of Africa. And then they penetrated after hundreds of years, once they conformed the Negroes along the coast to work with them, and then they made them slave catchers, and they went into the interior, which was never penetrated, after numerous wars. And this is where you get your slave trade. And the Spaniards, who were having a war with the Moors of Africa and Europe, and they defeated them in the year 1492, and then they sailed into the Americas. This is when you get the conquering of America. So for the Mexicans coming over here saying, I ain't no goddamn alien, this is my land, they have a right to say that. You understand? Speak to one of them one day and you'll find out some history. They know who the Caucasian is. They know who the European is. They like, nigga, you're an alien. You're an occupier. So all that Occupy Wall Street, that's bullshit, because they're occupying the land. They belong in Europe. This is your land. It was so many people that were here. You know, we have cousins. So our cousins are the Mexicans. Our cousins are the Asians. Our cousins are the Tainos and the Boricans, what are known as Puerto Ricans now, and Dominicans and whatnot. These are our cousins. And our distant cousins would be the Europeans. You know, some of us don't fuck with our distant cousins. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll be the weird cousins. But they're still our cousins nevertheless. But this land was inhabited by different societies and culture. It wasn't an empty, it wasn't like a barren land. You have, when you read Columbus's journal, he talks about cities of gold. Have you ever heard about that? When you read into Pizarro and Hernando Cortez, they talk about invading and capturing cities of gold. Some of you Negroes are dying for gold rings. Do you know how it feels to live in a city of gold? When your house was gold, when the walls was gold, when the streets were paved in gold, you know what I mean? When they came to the ships, when Columbus and them pulled up in the ships, they were bringing them trays of gold with chunks with big gold nuggets. As just, you know, like, here, hold on to that. Like, welcome. The women had gold rings around their neck and gold things around their arms. That's why they had mass beheadings of the women. And they were cutting arms off and whatnot. I got pictures showing them with holding trays with piles of arms and piles of heads that they were cutting in ring because they wanted all of that gold. This was a robbery that took place in the Americas. And this was the last Incan king who stood up to the conquistadors after many of his predecessors were being cut down and murdered and whatnot. Because one of the tools that basically gave the European power when they came over here was the rifle. They said that the Europeans shot thunder. You know what I mean? Because they didn't know what the rifles are, because they weren't that warlike over here. You know what I mean? It weren't that like, but as a result of the European being into 500, 600, 700 years of war against the African Moors, they were hardened warriors. So when the development of the gun came and the development of the so-called, the men in armor, they had armored suits and whatnot. So the Mayans and Incans are throwing spears and rocks at them against those iron, the big chunky iron things. And they got they got these dogs that they call the war dogs that will eat you alive. And they hitting them with thunder, they hitting them with the rifles. They couldn't stand a chance. They never even seen horses before over in South America. So the people was coming on these Andalusian horses and all of that with these dogs. And it was too much for them. They washed them up. But one of the last strongholds was Tupac Amaru, the Incan king. And this is the namesake that Tupac Amaru Shakur has. Now, I don't have enough time to tell you about the science of names, but names are extremely powerful. If you name your baby Huey P. Newton, chances are he gonna grow an afro and be very revolutionary, regardless of what you say. You know what I mean? If you name your child Martin Luther King, chances are he's going to sing "We Shall Overcome" one day. You know what I mean? And he's going to embody some kind of personalities and spirits of that name. Martin Luther King was named after Martin Luther. And he embodies some of the principles of that. So names are very, very, very powerful. Please don't, even your nickname is powerful. Nigga running around calling himself Peanut, that's a powerful nickname. You know what I mean? It means something. Like when people take their street names, they develop an alter ego. They call me Red Pill. My real name is Phil. Those are two different people. You know what I'm saying? Because those two names have a different energy. Well, actually, my name is Philip, and that is Red Pill because PHI is what? In Greek? Fire. And that's red. And P and LLIP, when you flip that around, that's PILL. So that's Red Pill. So I was born to be the Red Pill. That's my namesake. But I'm just saying, his namesake enabled him to embody that revolutionary rebel spirit. And he exemplified that, and he personified that to the 100th degree. Now, like I said, the Incan king Tupac Amaru was killed by the conquistadors, right? Tupac Amaru was the last of the royal family of the Incan Empire to ever actually rule his people. After the Spanish invasion of the Andes, many of his family members were killed, including his uncles Atahualpa and Huascar. Those two people right there were murdered by a conquistador by the name of Pizarro. I really encourage the family to do the history of Pizarro. Google Pizarro. Please find out about that, the history of how they robbed Peru for all of its gold and how they enriched Europe.
Spell it for them.
What? Pizarro is Pizzaro. That's where you get pizza from. The Pizarros were grand murderers. They were murderers they talk about Hitler and all of that. These people were murderers on a scale never seen before. They wiped out, they wiped out millions upon millions of so-called indigenous people in the Americas. Both of whom were kings of separate parts of a divided empire when the Spanish arrived. By 1570, keep in mind with these years, 1570, because they tell you that you were slaves in 1570 and you weren't doing nothing. You were just picking cotton saying, yes sir, yes ma'am, and scratching your head and all of that. But meanwhile in the Americas, they had cities of gold. The gold that they took from this empire is the gold that made European the rich country that the rich country that it is today. In the basement of the Vatican, forget Fort Knox. In the basements of the Vatican, in the basements, because all of that gold went back to the church. All of that gold went back to the crowns and kings. You see Queen Elizabeth walking around with all of them diamonds? There are no diamonds in Europe. The only two continents that are barren of diamonds is Antarctica and Europe. They don't grow no diamonds in the ground. So all of them big nuggets that they got, the Hope Diamond and all of that shit, they stole that from your people. And they running around, blinging, showing it off, like, what you gonna do about it? By 1570, and niggas is dying for pinky rings. Niggas is dying dying for cubic zirconias in the street. That shit is disgusting. You know what I mean? And you got robbed. You got places in Africa right now that these Europeans is over there straight digging up the mines, taking nuggets out of the land and whatnot. Them Africans getting like 3 cents a day. And we over here, we could go anywhere around the world. Because niggas go everywhere, right? Niggas is in Paris, right? That's what Jay-Z and them told you. But y'all won't go to Africa and grab your nuts and go see what's up with them diamond mines, won't you? You just wait for Akon to do it. But Akon got a diamond mine, he balling. But you won't go over there and see what's popping with your shit. But you African, right? I'm talking to you. By 1570, only a small remote outpost remained of Inca rule in the Peruvian jungles of Vilcabamba. Now, this is Peru. Y'all know what comes out of Peru these days, right? That Peruvian, yeah. That Perico. So, what the conquistadors and what these Europeans have done is they created narco empires out of indigenous land. So while they over there robbing it for the natural resources, they got that coca leaf and they they weaponize the coca leaf into a controlled substance that we know now is cocaine. And that basically, because they were dealing with cocaine back in those days. You got pharaohs, Egyptian pharaohs, that they have exhumed and found cocaine in their lungs. So cocaine and coca leaves and whatnot is not a demonic, it's not an evil thing. You know what I mean? The weed leaf and whatnot. These are things that people were smoking peyote. They were chewing on mushrooms. They were smoking weed. You know what I mean? This was the social engineers, like I talked about earlier when I brought up social engineering. We have been socially engineered to think that plants that grow out of the ground are evil. There's something wrong with them because they call them illegal. All right? Tupac Amaru presided over a brief rebellion against the Spanish, which was crushed in 1571, 1572. Tupac Amaru was executed, and with him died any realistic hope of a return to Inca rule in the Andes. The popular theory that presides in the hip-hop world that Tupac Amaru was murdered by federal agents. Right? I just showed you that the namesake of Tupac Amaru Shakur was murdered by conquistadors. Now, if you fast forward to today, who would the conquistadors be? Federal agents. So, the last hope of a return to Inca rule in the Andes was lost when Tupac Amaru was killed by conquistadors. The last hope for hip-hop, for any kind of rebellion, any kind of rebel, any kind of rebellious rule was lost when they murdered that man in a strip, when federal agents murdered Tupac Amaru Shakur on that Vegas strip in 1997. It is the same damn thing
96.
repeating itself. 96. It is the same murder. It is the same assassination that took place on a different scale. The same people that murdered, the same conquistadors that murdered that man, those are the children of Pizarro. Those are the children of Cortez. The individuals who are behind the CIA. The individuals that are behind the FBI. All of these different letter alphabet organizations, they come out of the loins of the conquistadors. The Europeans who came over here and took over with the sword and the Bible. Alright? And I don't want to offend anybody that's religious in here, but I'm just telling it like it is. And you should do the research. If you're so religious, you go ahead and do the research. Stop waiting on Sunday to get a little bit of information. Do it during the week. Find out who the Roman Catholics are. Find out who these people who you are praising and you're giving all your life energy are. Find out who they are. Find out their history. And you're going to be surprised. Now, Tupac has a middle name named Amaru. Amaru, when you do your research, are the serpent people, the oldest civilization of the Americas. By show of hands, how many people are familiar with the Olmecs? The Olmecs. If you're not familiar with the Olmecs, please just do the research on the Olmecs. The Olmecs are that head right there that you see. What is that head over there in the corner? What are the features on that head? By show of hands, does that face in the corner look African?
Yes.
By show of hands, does that face in the corner look European? We could leave you this. We could deal with this right now. Does it look like it's from somebody in Europe? Does it look like it's from somebody from Mexico? Okay? These heads are found in Colombia. These heads are 15 tons. These heads are found in Colombia, Venezuela, Mexico, Peru, all along the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula and whatnot. These were one of the first civilizations in what we know now as Central, South, and North America. They were also found in Mississippi. Okay? This is a great civilization. And these are the Amarus. Alright? Some of the artwork on the walls of Mexico depict many of the depictions of the Amaru culture. The Amaru culture is very similar to the Kemetic Egyptian culture. The leopard print, there's some of the, you know, a lot of the rappers is rocking the leopard print these days, correct? I'm seeing it, bro, Meek Mills, Tiger, a lot of them, Kanye, a lot of them are adapting that whole leopard thing. That leopard thing means royalty. Whenever you see them with the leopard, that's something that the pharaohs and the kings and whatnot were wearing. The priesthood. The scribes. So this is the depiction on the wall of the Incas. By show of hands, how many people seen Apocalypto? Yeah, that was an excellent movie. It showed to a brief degree, you know, what was going on in the Americas. They you know, a lot of the characters were a little too light for the real depiction of how we were, but you know, that's a proper depiction. So picture Apocalypto, but the skin tone and skin complexion of those people in that movie is right here. Alright? These are your ancestors. These are some of the Olmec heads that I was talking about that are along the coast. By show of hand, has anybody ever visited areas in South America, Colombia, Mexico, and seen the Olmec heads? I highly encourage, you know, if y'all ever take a vacation and y'all make that trip, make sure you go to see the Olmec head. You know what I mean? These are remarkable. They might even wake up something inside of you, because that's how these things happen. You have DNA that's dormant, but it wakes up when certain things, when you come amongst certain things. Like individuals take trips to Kemet, what they call Egypt, and they go inside of the pyramids and they come out a changed person, never to be the same, because something wakes up within. Their DNA, their old memory, their Akashic records that lay dormant, it begins to wake up. So these are the Amarus. These are the Sun Kings. These are depictions of the Sun Kings. This is the king that Pizarro killed and got away with about 50 tons of gold out of Peru. And according to the artist's depiction, you see how he's dark hair, gets a little lighter there, and it gets very light over there. Because you have Europeans that are in control of the Americas as a result of the invasion of the conquistadors, and everything got lightened up. So when you look at Telemundo, when you look at their TV stations, you would not know that when you go to South America, it's people darker than us over there. Black as midnight. A large contingency of them. When you go to Brazil, it is super black over there. But you'll never see that on Telemundo. And you'll think that, oh, the South America, they have nothing to do with us. The people over there, they speak Spanish. They speak Spanish because the Spaniards took it over. We speak English because the English took this over. They speak French in New Orleans because the French was over there. They speak French in Canada because that's where the French invaders took over. These people speak these languages due to the colonization of the individuals a few hundred years ago to conquer their societies. That's only, but those are your people. All right? This is a great depiction of South Americans that they were able to capture. If you can see, the brothers have gold ornaments in their nose, gold ornaments in their ears, gold ornaments, huh? What'd you say?
It look like they got gold fronts.
Yeah, exactly. But they did have gold fronts. They have a lot of stories about many of our ancestors rocking long dreads, gold fronts, and tattoos on their face. What does that remind you of today? You know what I mean? That's why they always say that there's nothing new under the sun. We run around and think that we creating trends, but we really just doing what our ancestors always did. People running around rocking them nose rings and the earrings and all of that. The dude Little B took that picture right there, made a mixtape cover. You know what I'm saying? These are your ancestors, and these pictures were created around the time that they were telling you that they went into Africa and niggas was swinging from trees and savages. The same time that they told you that we were over here creating societies. They have cities of gold in Mexico. They have cities of gold in Peru. They have a museum of gold in Peru. You could Google that. It's called the Museum of Oro. They took so much gold out of Peru that they was able to make a museum and fill that shit up with gold and say, we just gonna leave that as a museum for y'all to remember this. You know what I mean? These were highly civilized people and whatnot. So these are some of the depictions. So when you hear about the Indians over here in the Americas, and I'm showing you Indians over there because the Indians is a misnomer. When Columbus and them came over here and they say, oh, we were looking for Indians, you know, these weren't Indians that they found. When you go to India,